Our first speaker will be an attorney at the Greater Boston Legal Services and a proud member of UAW Local 2320, and that's Lydia Edwards, please. Thank you.
I think I'm loud enough, right? Right? Okay. So I thought I'd be sitting there, not standing here, but regardless. My name's Lydia Edwards, as you said, and I'm an attorney. I'm a proud union member, because professional attorneys are also workers, and we also have a lot of rights to fight for. I work in legal aid, and we have an exorbitant amount of work to do, but for our union, I would not be able to afford to be there. With my student loans, with my own family to deal with, I could not afford to work to help people. And that theme really, what you guys all talked about, really hit me in understanding how we as union members have that very much in common. What you do as graduate students, so how many are graduate students here? And how many are workers? Haha, that's why I did that. That's why I did that. Isn't that what everyone's been trying to say? You're like, no, you are 100% workers. And what we've been saying to ourselves as attorneys, but also in the movement that I've been very much passionately involved in for domestic workers, okay? Domestic workers unseen, domestic workers completely undervalued, domestic workers, the work that makes all other work possible. They are workers. You are workers. You are the workers that make higher education possible. Like, let that sink in. That's how important you are. I would not be a lawyer but for a graduate student. I would not have finished, I was just an LLM and taxation, and I would have failed but for the graduate students. I'm able to be a part of a solidarity movement to help workers organize themselves and own their own businesses because of a graduate student. My professors were really awesome, but I was in an online program. They were not near me or anything to do with me. The person who returned my emails, the person who answered my phone calls when I was crying and freaking out over the exam, I'm sure some of you have done that, was the graduate student. So you are workers, you are vital to my career where I am right now. And so I want also to pick up on some common themes as well that I want, to talk about. Along with being the workers that make higher education possible. We had to also tell ourselves that in the domestic worker movement, because there was when people don't value you, sometimes you forget to value yourself. And legally, that's happened to domestic workers since the 1930s. There's a history person in here already who knows that domestic workers were specifically cut out of the New Deal because of the fact that this is, we would argue, vestiges of slavery, right? Farm workers, domestic workers cut out. So there's a conscious effort to deny that you are even working in this industry. And I see this, and I'm so surprised. I never would have thought coming here, working with nannies and house cleaners, and I'm hearing everything that you talked about, they have had to fight against. Not getting paid, being isolated, what else is there? Not having the right to organize nationally. Well, lack of sleep, you didn't bring that up, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that you guys lack sleep, right? And being required to perform at 100%, even though you're working on very little sleep, right? Being fired for no other reason except that you just don't fit, or you don't fit in, or we don't really know, you're just not. That happens all the time, except she lives in the house, so she's going to lose her house at the same time. The families of these workers depend on usually their mothers, to bring home money, and oftentimes they can't because they weren't paid. And I'm floored by the fact that the struggles of these women, usually immigrant women, poor women of color, and graduate students are so aligned. And then there's this other struggle that I think is very important that we touch on. It's the struggle of the employer. For some reason, they think there's a privilege in you being able to work for them. You think there might be some privileged folks here? I don't know. But there's this understanding that you're lucky enough to be here to work for me, the Harvard doctor, usually in the case that I'm suing that person, or the Harvard lawyer, but it could be easily the Harvard administrator or the professor here. There's this understanding of who's really privileged by who, right? You said they make millions of dollars off of your research. So who's really privileged by who? Right? And it's this power dynamic, because somehow you'll be separated from that privilege if you stand up for yourself. No, you are lucky enough to have this genius here that helps people like me become lawyers helps the future generations of doctors. And I think that there's this dynamic of privilege that needs to totally be attacked and really needs to be assessed. Who's truly privileged, right? Who's truly privileged? And just to conclude, I want you I want you to also think about who you need to also reach out, not only to in terms of other students, but who are the conscious consumers that whose doors you need to bang on? Your students, parents of those students, who are the consumers of this education that need to know that this is a human right? I need to sleep, I need to eat, I need to pay my bills. Those are human rights. So talk to your conscious consumers. We hit the doors, we went to the employers' houses, we went to their churches, we went where they were, and we said, you consume this work. This is the work that makes your work possible, okay? These are the workers that made my education possible. So thank you so much, and please, obviously, join the union.